In this video, I'm going to talk about morning pages, something that's been a constant habit of mine for the last 11 years. So what are morning pages? They are a part of this book by Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way, and it has the subtitle of A Course in Discovering and Rediscovering Your Creative Self. But I should point out that it's not necessarily just for creatives or just for artists, it's about people who want to achieve something. The book itself has a series of experiments that she asks you to cover over, I think it's a month period. Morning Pages is just one of those experiments, and it's essentially an exercise where you write 3 pages of streaming consciousness. So essentially you take what's in your head and you put it onto paper. It is not really a journal and it's not a diary, it's basically getting all of the things that are in your head out on those 3 pages. And one of the important pieces is that it must be handwritten. So no technology involved. Morning Pages became kind of popular recently. Tim Ferriss is a proponent of morning pages, and he referred to them as his emotional windshield wipers. So I started journaling about 11 years ago, but it turned into morning pages when my significant other gave me this book and said, "Here, experiment, give them a try." And what's really interesting is that morning pages of all the experiments in the book were the ones that stuck. So what I did after the 30-day period of writing morning pages, I went back and reread all of the entries that I put. And what was really interesting, it was quite revealing in terms of the themes that came across in the writing on over that 30-day period. And you know, this is a real value. It was really, really fascinating things hidden within the writing. Normally I'll write morning pages first thing in the morning, so I generally get up, make myself a cup of coffee, and then sit and write morning pages on the terrace. I try and get out in the light, as Dr. Raj and Mr. Uberman say, getting out in the sunlight first thing in the morning is a health benefit, so I cover the 2 things at once. It's now become such a habit that the cat will generally join me, and her mission in morning pages is to obscure as much of the pages and the writing as possible. Morning pages get written everywhere and anywhere, and here's just a snapshot of me in Morocco, sat on the side of the road writing morning pages, waiting for the bus. And so morning pages get done. Generally, there are no excuses. So what have I learnt from writing morning pages for so long? I think the first thing is the ability to get stuff out of your head first thing in the morning. We all carry a lot of noise, a lot of thoughts, and I think for me, just taking everything that I'm thinking, you know, that stream of consciousness, and putting it onto paper first thing in the morning, I think it's a really good way of just emptying the noise from your head, putting it on paper. You can come back to it later if you want, but it just allows you to get on with the day without having to kind of carry all that thought round with you. The second thing is really the ability to take a bit of perspective on some of the things that we've written. You know, I go back and look at some of the stuff I've written in morning pages. Seemed like a really big issue at the time. You know, we have this ability to kind of blow up issues bigger than they really are. You know, think about it for a day or a week or a month, and actually it's probably not quite as significant or doesn't affect us as much emotionally generally as it would, you know, at the time. So again, I think, you know, writing that down in morning pages kind of gets it off your chest, so to speak. And then the third thing is patterns. So as humans, we tend to kind of stick to routine and patterns. And you know, for me, there are 3 themes that kind of come through really strongly. I didn't find these myself, my better half discovered them buried within morning pages. So the first thing is, I worry a lot about money. I shouldn't do. I don't really have that much of a money worry, but money is a thing, particularly when you're self-employed like I am. You know, there are peaks and troughs, and I don't think anyone doesn't worry about money. Even billionaires, I'm told, worry about money. So, you know, that's one of the themes. One of the other themes that kind of comes through really strongly is my obsession with using time and productivity. I'm big into productivity, as you probably know, but you know, I worry about not achieving everything. I tend to overthink stuff. You know, there's a lot of emotion tied to, you know, achieving goals and so on, and I tend to hang on to that, and it comes through as a fairly constant theme throughout my writing. And then the last thing is, you know, I'm keen to get healthy. I'm keen to live on for the next 50 years being healthy. I worry about my weight all the time. You know, we all have these ups and downs as you kind of binge and then, you know, get fit and then lose weight and whatever. And so my weight tends to yo-yo, and I'm a bit like Bridget Jones, if you like, in her diary. She writes about how many cigarettes she smokes. You know, for me, it's a constant in terms of my weight going up or is my weight going down. Am I okay here? So what are my tips? What are my recommendations for you? Tip number 1, give it a go, but do the whole 30 days. I know you're going to say, oh, but writing is so hard, it's so difficult. Just start with whatever's in your head, start with your shopping list, start with your to-do list, just start and write it down on paper, and it will kind of evolve from there. And then, once you've done the 30 days, go back and reread what you've written. And you will definitely find that there are patterns in that, and there will definitely be something that is helpful written within that 30 days of streaming consciousness. Tip number 2, be honest. There is no point in writing all of this down if it isn't the truth, and you won't get the value out of it if it's kind of made up and you're really not getting to the core of the issues. No one else is going to read it. You can keep it to yourself, you can get rid of it at the end. For me, I still have rules around this. I share my morning pages with my significant other, but even I have a rule that she cannot read today's morning pages. There is nothing worse than someone peering over your shoulder as you write. I actually discovered that some of my good ideas had formed on morning pages months, if not years, in advance. And I've also noticed that I've changed my writing behavior, in the fact that I used to say I should do something, or I should do X, I should do Y. And I've now changed my language just subtly to say that, you know, I choose to do X or I choose to do Y. So, you know, there's that more positive motivation behind some of the writing. The third thing is life happens. So don't worry if you miss a day, don't worry if you miss a couple of days. I've just come back from the Vipassana meditation where I wasn't allowed to write morning pages for 10 days. Life happens, there are important things, you need to be places. You can't always do morning pages every single day. But do it as often as you possibly can, because it is beneficial and you really get into it and you miss it when you don't do it for a couple of days. The fourth thing is I love stationery, and it gives me every excuse to go out and buy some really nice journals and some really nice pens, because I know that they're going to get used absolutely every single day, and then I can kind of justify the extravagance. So go ahead, shop away, you have my permission. So there you have it. That's my experience of having written morning pages for so long. And I'll leave a link to the book down below and some of the resources that I've mentioned. And remember, morning pages will get you closer to living your best life.